Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello, could everybody hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay,
Yeah,
good
I can
evening,
hear
good
you.
evening. You can hear me, Kevin?
Yep.
All right, Brother Floyd, are you in here with us? Maybe he's still getting in. Could everybody see my screen?
I do.
Okay. All right. I may have to make a little tutorial here because I know everybody is having a couple little issues from time to time. So let me just make this a black pen. Circle this here. And then I'll just keep that in my Google Drive sometime. So just give me a second here. How do I move this? Alright. I don't want to close that either. Okay. Open this up real quick. How do you make a new? See, this is when you've been messing with computers too much all day. You get lost in the sauce. All right. Okay. Conference, how to. All right, I digress. Okay, so let's see if Brother Floyd can hear me. Floyd, can you hear me? See him in the chat room. Maybe he's still trying to get on. See, I see him in here, but let me send him a quick little message. Tell him to dial in, and then I could kind of walk him through some of the stuff, and then we could just get started. It'll be more of an introductory thing, and just showing you guys how the class will be structured and stuff. So let me just send him this here, this dial-in code.
It worked for me when I clicked the phone icon.
Yeah, I just download the app to my computer and stuff. I can do my MacBook and enter like the media name and just got it in from there.
I know that I think he was at a library as well, and see, he might be having some issues trying to get in because, as y'all all know, most libraries, they got firewalls. They may not allow you to install stuff.
I'm at one.
You at a library too?
Mm-hmm. In one of their rooms. Yep.
Okay. Well, then maybe they're not so. Maybe they're not so. And who else we're missing tonight? Caesar. Caesar's supposed to be on tonight. I'll send him. Let me text him real quick, and then we'll just go ahead and get started. And then, it's a video. It's being recorded. I'm gonna throw it on YouTube and stuff, so people will be able to get a hold of it. But let me just text him. We are online in class now. I sent conference info to call in. All right. So what did I ask? Floyd, can you hear me? Okay. Can you see me? I sent conference info.
Yeah, I'm at home and stuff pretty much. So yeah.
I'm gonna do this because he select the computer audio. Oh, that's not what I want. Where's that screenshot that I had? Okay, I use this snippet tool a lot at work, so you know, if I'm going too fast for certain things, you guys let me know, because I kind of run through the stuff at light speed. So I'll send him this screenshot. I think that's him coming in. Brother Floyd, is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm at the library trying to, I don't know if that's why I can't hear you or not, but I can see you moving the mouse on the screen.
Okay.
Tell him to click that phone button, because that's how I was able to get in.
Yeah. When I hit the phone button, it says choose your audio preference.
Is that how you're...
Yep. You gonna choose your audio preference, and your audio preference is gonna be like the head, like, it's not gonna be the general, it's gonna be, some like, it's gonna have like a name by it or whatever, like your USB or something like that.
No, that's not on here. Only thing that comes up when I click the phone, it says choose your audio preference. It's a phone icon. Then it says telephone highlighted in blue. And below that it says already dialed in.
Okay. But you're calling in from your cell phone?
Yeah, now.
Okay. Well, I guess that'll work now. There's supposed to be one more person that's coming, but I ain't heard from him yet, so we're not going to hold up the show. Tonight will be pretty much, I'm assuming everybody has their books and everything and their class documentation. I'll kind of run you guys through how I envision this course will be. A lot of it's going to be based on hands-on, and I'm going to share pretty much all the game that I got throughout the years. Hold on, somebody's texting me now. Oh, he's at work. All right. Well, I'll just send him the video, because like I said, I'm going to record all the videos and everything that we do. That way, you know, anybody that misses something, they could just go on YouTube, you know, and we'll be straight there. So, one thing I want to, this is kind of the list of topics I want to go through tonight. Of course, I'm not going to keep you no more than 45 minutes to an hour, you know, because tonight will be more of an introductory course, and that way you guys can start getting into the book and stuff like that. The first thing I would like to do is for everybody to introduce themselves to each other, and after you guys do that, then I'll kind of give you the spiel on how I got into the game and how long I've been doing it, and you guys could also talk about what you hope to gain as far as knowledge in the class and things of that nature.
Okay, you want me to go first?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Camille Wilburn. I hope to gain knowledge of a refresher, basically. I've been out of IT since 2015, so I'm basically hoping to gain a refresh and to be able to take a course, pass a test or whatever. I don't have my Network Plus, but eventually I would like to obtain it.
Okay.
And that's a little bit about me.
Okay. Well, I'm Floyd Williams. I have not been in the IT field, but it's something that I am looking to, you know, get a good comprehension and clarity in, and looking to get involved in it. So, and I'm just looking for, you know, a deep understanding of the computer inside and out, and just grasping it all so I could be proficient and, you know, just cultivate myself to enter into the IT realm. Other than that, I got 4 books published. You know, I do yoga and, you know, a lot of stuff with the subtle body and alternative.
You need to help me out.
Yeah, I do yoga, Kemetic yoga, because you know yoga is African in origins. I do Kemetic yoga. I do Kemetic Reiki. So I'm a Kemetic Reiki practitioner, and you know I work. I do whatever it is to you know pretty much to advance myself and try to make it and try to share what I have with with my people. So I'm just really looking to change my life and I'll definitely do this IT and make myself more indispensable and just getting liberated and just trying to acquire some real power. And I believe and I see that, being possible and transpiring through technology and through STEM.
Okay. Seems like I don't know if I was somewhere in the city, I don't know, or either I was online, but I could have sworn I seen a poster or something. I remember seeing something about Kemetic yoga a couple of days ago. I just can't put it through my head because I got so much other stuff running through, but I don't know if it was a class that I heard from yours or something. I don't know. I thought I heard something or seen something somewhere.
I don't know. I done put posters up all over the place before.
Okay. All right, Brother Kevin.
Okay, all right. Can anyone hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yep. My name is Kevin. 36 years old. I pretty much just started IT career and stuff actually last year. Even though I've already had peer experience, like self-taught experience in the IT field and stuff with computers and how I can work with some OS and stuff programs. I don't have my Network Plus yet, but pretty much I'm going to take this course for a refresher so that I can get my Network Plus as well as other certifications such as the A+ certification, as well as any other certifications that have been with so far having advanced my career and stuff in the IT field is basically as far as just use as one of the top main careers as well as have other careers on the side as well too. Also, I'm an activist as well, so too, for to help so our people so far cannot be a permanent underclass, and IT field so far is one of the primary goals that can help us get out of being this underclass and stuff right now that we're in this society is right now, and to help us empower ourselves as a people and so everything, and those who are very serious and dead serious about people so far empower themselves, whether it's through finance and by other means. Other than that, pretty much I encourage people so far work together with each other together so far get out to meet our goals, whether it's in the IT field or otherwise, but most likely primary so far goal or the objective of the class is IT and stuff in it. And it help each other have gainful employment through networking type skills, like the network methods, and also to support each other. Each other's other means as well too. But like goal-wise, right, we help each other support each other in books and support each other in businesses and other kind of methods as well too, in a very positive kind of way and stuff. You think that could better change our lives for the better and stuff, and to empower ourselves.
Okay, thanks, Brother Kevin. As you guys may not know, Brother Kevin had joined me in a class previously. So, even though when people, if somebody joins the class, they finish the class, let's say they don't take their exam or whatever, sometimes life happens. We don't mind people coming in, as long as they had already signed up, they already paid all that. We kind of do like continuous support. Like, for example, like Caesar, this guy, he couldn't take my class before, about a year ago. But there was some positions open at a company called Stanley Security. And this is the place I can show you real quick, and then I'll go to my little presentation. But there was a class, and I don't know if you were in this class, Brother Kevin, but there was a place called Stanley Security where, and this is out in Plymouth, we had a whole bunch of openings for like, it's kind of like help desky tech support thing, but it's a foot in the door. And he was somebody, I tried to tell everybody in the class to consider it. A lot of people, I guess, at the time didn't want it, maybe about a year ago. But he got in, and he started as a contractor, and now he's working permanent. So now that he's working a different shift, then you know, he's now able to take my class. So Kevin had took a class, I think it was July 2018. I don't know when it was, but Kevin took the class, and not too far after taking the class, I had a couple contracts that was open that he was able to work through. He worked at Alina, and then I found him some stuff with CompuCom, and so whenever a position comes in, if it's a fit and somebody interviews, then I just try to help them get it. I actively start looking for work before people even start the class. Like even with Kamisha, I had an interview for a company out in Eden Prairie called Life Touch. They do like hearing aid support or something like that. I didn't really want, the position. It was a Salesforce position, and they were looking for somebody to kind of come in and not know anything about Salesforce, and they were going to kind of hold your hand. And so I told her, they said, well, we could give you this. And I said, well, I need to have this much, because I had been in the game enough to make my demands. But I said, how about, if I pass you somebody I know? And she said, well, you could go ahead and apply. You could have this person apply. And I told Kamisha, I said, well, just go online to Indeed and apply and send me your resume. And I just sent the resume to the recruiter. Now, this doesn't happen all the time through a permanent job. This is a permanent job hire. I just decided to just shoot my shot. She could have been like, no, we don't want you to pass no resume. They could just go apply online themselves, and that's it. But all she could tell me was no. So I said, well, let me just try to hook somebody else up. So there's been other situations and stories that I'll tell you guys on how I was given referrals because I might have had a good interview in the past. But I'll go through my little spiel real quick right here, and then I'll go down the list of all of the things that I want to share tonight. So let me get my slideshow. So everybody knows I'm Derek Pearson. Right now I'm a Salesforce administrator / junior, whatever, something for a school. I've been doing tech training for about roughly 2 years now. The first class that I started with was at the Urban League. So there was a class, and that's when I brought in Tech Systems, a recruiting firm, and I did a presentation on Microsoft Azure for them. That was my first class. And I also designed curriculums for the BDPA. I'm an author as well. I got a couple certifications. I took the networker certification in 2016. I forgot most of it, but I'm kind of sharpening up myself. But see, my whole focus is getting people to bag and showing them all the different hands-on tools that college may not necessarily show. So a lot of the stuff I show you guys is going to be well over advanced for the class, as far as exam-wise. They're not going to talk about AWS and Azure and stuff like that. They're not going to talk about Kali Linux. But I'm going to talk about it so you kind of get a head up and really to be exposed to some technology that you may never seen before. So I landed probably, I don't know, it could have been 40, 50, 60 people, whether full-time contract jobs. I said I designed curriculums before. 2 students were offered jobs before becoming certified in my class. Actually, one of the classes that I did where I presented the whole class of tech systems, one of the brothers that used to work with the Navy, and I might have him come in and as a guest speaker one day, he took the exam and he likened it to the Network Plus. To me, it's different than the Network Plus. I don't think it's as hard. It's only 30 questions, but he likened it to the Network Plus. And I found him a contract, and within 3-4 months, he became a supervisor out there at a company called Bailiwick. It's a big IP video surveillance integration company. I got an interest in group economics. I liked Game of Thrones, Strand, Power. Spent a lot of time with YouTube. This is the book I wrote. I threw it on Amazon Prime. I got another volume coming out sometime next year. And basically, the class is kind of loosely based off of my book in a way. How I got in the game and advice that I give people, and I have yet to still get a degree, but I have been in the game for quite a while. I'm about 80% done with my cybersecurity degree. You know, I don't like to tell people this, but if I could go back, I would have never went. If I could turn back the hands of time, because that's 30+ thousand that I could have just invested into something like this. I had already been in the game, but I figured I would go to learn some more stuff, and I did learn some of the things. Sometimes you guys, the internet may be acting a little janky, so sometimes the software may drop you or whatever. But if you ever hear me talking and then all of a sudden I get stopped talking or something for a while, you know, it don't happen too often, but that might be me just rebooting the software or something like that. But it's all in the cloud. Like I said, I got in the game with no college degree. I started off with a 1-year internship, and then I took a 4-month contract, and I walked away from corporate and opened up a retail store for about a year, and then I started doing Windows 7 migrations. This was Windows 7, Windows XP to Windows 7 was really cracking. So I started working at Blue Cross Travelers, AIG, TCS Medica. I started college in 2012, and then I worked at Cargill, and I'll tell you some stories about that as class progresses. So I always got these personal goals I throw out there. Is to practice group economics, to getting black folks trained and hired as many as I can. I'll probably be doing it for another couple years until I could start doing for self, own me some property, and you know, one of my biggest goals is minding my own business. So that right there saves you a whole lot of heartache and pain. So the next thing I want to do is I want to introduce Slack to you guys. Everybody got their Slack app, and I download mine. Is not only on my phone, but I got it hooked up where, you know, it's on my desktop as well, and it's basically like a little site. And so as you can see to the left hand corner here, you see all of these sisters and brothers here that were in previous classes. Some of these people here, you know, they got certified. Some of them I don't hear too much from. You know, they went to different paths. But at one point, I think there was a lot more people. But this is pretty much almost like, I call it like the class knowledge base. You could post articles, jobs. Most of the time when I got a job, I'm just going to throw it on here unless I think it's something hot off the press, and then I can email y'all. But like Willow's online, I can hit him up right now. You know, this is Will. Will, he had like a 2-year degree in computer science, but he couldn't find no job, and it was many years. You know, I guess he wasn't, you know, the greatest at interviewing at the time. But we hooked him up with some people in the program that kind of gave him some little, what they call those pep talk interviews and stuff like that. He came into my class within 2 weeks and knocked out the exam. He's kind of like a whiz kid, matrix kind of kid, you know what I'm saying? So he came in and knocked it out in 2 weeks, and then he wrote up a lot of the exam tips that I'm going to provide to you guys as well, just so you know. And so now he's a software engineer making 60 bands. You know, now think about this. He went into college and was unemployed for years. He came in my class, got a basic little certification, and ended up, you know, I ended up hooking up his resume, and you know, he ended up finding him a perm. But anyway, like, for example, like if you click search and if you type in something like exam, it'll show you all the stuff that we have about the exam. Like, this is a practice test that I'm going to give you guys. It's a site where you could kind of go on there and practice. This is somebody here. Well, this was in November 10th, 2018. I think I went in and I passed the server certification. We had a bunch of old exam vouchers. I didn't want them to go to waste, so I just went in and just took a cold turkey. With me, the more I study, I fail. If I study way too much, I end up failing for some reason. I don't know why. So I don't just cram because I know I ain't gonna pass the exam. So the only reason why I passed that exam, it's a server certification, is because I was a Citrix administrator for 2 years. And that's like a system administrator. Citrix, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Citrix, but it's a very common. You have? Okay. Okay. It's a hell of a position. I'm not really too interested in getting into it again, but it pays a whole lot if you could get into Citrix, and it's a niche position. Matter of fact, I'll show you something that I just got the other day, and they're always sending me this. And 9 times out of 10, you're not just going to come in entry level at a Citrix job, but what I will tell you is this: if you can get an entry level role and they deal with Citrix at that job, hunk on to that, because once you start learning Citrix, you'll never be without work, ever. I choose to not deal with it because I get tired of support, but that's something I've been doing a long time, so it's a pain in the neck for me. But anybody that's just starting off in the game, I mean, this right here, if I told them, yeah, I'm interested, I'll go out to California, I'll tell them I want 85. Now, I'm not that great at Citrix, so I probably wouldn't end up getting it, but if I started studying and start getting back into it a little bit, I probably could. Now, I did work at TCS before, so I'll tell you, when you work at TCS, it's almost like a enterprise, it's like a government contract. Think of TCS as a Cargill for India, okay? That's why you see all these H-1B visas and all this type of stuff. That's why they got all this, and I ain't gonna get too deep because but these bands and all this type of stuff, you could only see your screen. You can't hear me, Kevin?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So you want to see? Okay, hold on.
Like I only see the screen, but it shows like it says Amazon.
Yeah, I only see your screen too. I don't see anything else.
All right. How about now?
There we go.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
My bad. That was this new product to get an upgrade. But anyway, if you notice, they want expert knowledge in Active Directory, GPOs. We'll cover that a little bit, just because I can show you where that stuff is. It's just nice to know. SCCM, MCS. This is all Citrix stuff right here. But they pretty much want somebody to have a system. If you have a system administrator background, and then you learn Citrix, it'll make more sense. But if you're coming in cold turkey, the way Citrix operates is it assumes you already know what you're doing. It's not like a help desk position or something like that. It assumes that you know all of this here from a real grassroots level. When I applied for a Citrix position, I didn't know that it was a Citrix position at all. They never said it was a Citrix position. They said it's tech support. And I went in there. I'll tell you guys a little story, then I'll go to the next topic. But I went in there and I told him, I said, I come from an infrastructure background. And the guy asked me a weird question. He said, what's your favorite Sesame Street character? And I'm like, what? You know, I mean, you may get some weird questions like that, like what the hell has this got to do with, But the reason why they were asking that question is they were wanting you to think outside the box. It had nothing to do with Sesame Street character. He asked me what my favorite character was, and I told him, I think this is what got me the job, but I said, the Count. And he said, well, why would you pick the Count? I said, well, the Count's about his bread. The Count, he bases his information off empirical evidence. He knows how to count. He could be good in calculus. I said, not only that, I said, the Count is Dracula. I said, he's a vampire. I said, a lot of people don't know the true story of Vlad the Impaler. And they were kind of just looking at me up in there like, what? Because most people don't know. They think Count Dracula is just a vampire. But Vlad the Impaler was an actual real person. This was somebody, and I actually went into the story with him and was breaking it down. And they was like, the dude was like, you know what? When do you want to start? Like, because he probably asked that question to somebody else. And they probably said, oh, Big Bird or something, because he's yellow. And it's like, that's not the reason why he asked that question. He didn't ask me to start talking about Elmo and my favorite characters and Ernie and Bert. He wanted to know, okay, man, how does this dude think? So, but anyway, if you could get into a Citrix position, that would be good down the line. going back to Slack, another thing that you could do, and let me go up here. This right here, I added this position. This is good for somebody that wants to be into a network engineer position, that wants to end up in a network engineer position. If you notice here, able to lift 75 pounds, use power equipment, you know, use Jira, so that's like a ticketing system that a lot of software developers use. And right here, they just want good troubleshooting skills, server hardware troubleshooting experience, networking skills. I'll be showing you guys a lot of jobs. You're probably going to get tired of it, but like I say, I'm very job-centric. You know, I'm very, very bag-centric. I mean, you get the certification all you want, but the thing is, you know, is being able to land the positions and knowing what's out there, and I just try to showcase that as much as possible. But this right here is, it'll give you the experience to become a network engineer in a few years. This position will probably be working with all types of different, you know, network stuff. So, like I said, they want a bachelor's, you know, like I said, I don't pay attention to that much. They prefer it. I mean, they would like you to have it. But what I'm saying is, if you know some of this stuff, if you're pretty good at it, and you know you give a Viola Davis or a Denzel Washington interview, give them an Academy Award performance as an interview, you know they'll probably consider you. Also, I posted this. This is a contract to hire BA role. Y'all may not have seen this, but they got 4 openings. Let me see. I think that was with, I can't remember what company it was, but I got it somewhere in my email. Somebody, there's a brother. You guys need to subscribe to this brother ASAP, Dwayne Lightfoot. He's like a super cold Cisco network engineer. He don't hold no game back. He tells you exactly how to get certifications. He's, you know, this brother's the truth. So you definitely want to subscribe to him, because he knows way more than I do. I'm just gonna keep it 100, you know, and because he's a network engineer. I'm not a network engineer. I know about networking, and I know how to point you to the right direction. But this dude is somebody that you should subscribe to, especially with the Network Plus. For those that are interested in getting the Network Plus later on, I recommend that you consider Professor Messer. That's a free site. We'll go through this in the future here, actions and skills. As you guys can see, I post a whole bunch of stuff. This is, if you want a cover letter, just copy this right here. I posted this cover letter on a little while back. So just change it up, change my name, change the cell phone, change the email, and your cover letter shouldn't be a Bible. You know, it should just be really simple. So you can just change it up. So this is another position I posted. That's back in June. You know that's full. But I'm constantly posting articles. There's going to be a sister on September 5th. She came into the class, knocked out her certification and her Excel certification, and she's a networking guru. So any questions you may have, September 5th, pound her, because she could break the subnetting down from a network engineering level. She works at a data center. So she gave me this subnetting concept Excel doc. She got that from another network engineer that was teaching her. Okay? So as you can see, Slack is going to be used heavily. Let me see, is this let me check and make sure this is a practice test that we're going to post. Yep, this is it. It's a free practice test. You know, everybody will have that. So let me repost that again in Slack. I'm going to post everything in Slack.
Okay.
So your first 3 chapters y'all should be reading, and start taking the practice test now. Doesn't matter if you get it right or not. And compare and say, okay, I understand this in the book. You might see some of the practice tests like, wait a minute, that ain't the right answer. That's wrong. So now you go to Google and be like, okay, what does this mean? And then you get the right answer. It's not so much about knowing what's right. It's about knowing what's wrong and why. You know, that's how you kind of get, you know, through your troubleshooting. But yeah, I mean, you could play around. I mean, I got stuff all the way from just a crazy amount of stuff that you could look at. This is it's like a knowledge base. It's like a little encyclopedia that And let me see if I could do a search. Well, I was gonna say, could I do like a search back? You guys can play with it yourself, but this is another sister that you. This is a sister that you need to get down with, Kara Lease. She's a business analyst, so you want to subscribe to her as well. You know, she can teach you about getting BA jobs. Business analysts or they get paid a whole lot. And what they do is they're just a liaison in between IT and the executive team. And we'll cover that later on in the next couple classes. This is probably the best article that I've ever read in my life. So when you guys want to read something and learn about the DMZ even better, you definitely want to check that out. We'll talk about that in the future. So we talked about the practice test. I recommend everybody to work with each other offline and exchange each other's contact info. And the reason why is because when you work as a team, you'll be able to understand things a lot better. One of the bigger things, and I always tell my old class, you guys probably already know, but I always told my old classes in the business world, everybody got to work with each other whether they like them or not. You know, the overall goal is to resolve the issue. So, initially we had projects, and I might have you guys do those, but maybe not. But my first class, what I did is I had everybody. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It'd be really dope if I could just show you guys this. And it all depends on what you want to do. But this is the let me see here. I don't know if this is it or not, but I had an Azure presentation. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I just want to show you. But this is something we did. This is the presentation that I gave. Let me see, June 25, June. And if you notice, you guys, that I use Google Drive a lot, your resume should never be at home or on a laptop. Now, some people wonder, well, why would you say that? Because when I send you a position, you don't want to be talking about, well, I got to wait till I get, unless you need to do some editing. But even so, if you have Google Drive, you have it on your phone, you do your editing right on your phone and hit me back with the resume. You don't want to be saying, well, this new thing came through, but I'll send it to you next week. No, it works quick. As soon as you could get it to me, if something cracks off, I could be like, look, is this your new resume? Everything good? No typos? You straight? Bet. And I could just send it straight to the recruiter or whoever I may hear from. You see what I'm saying? And I keep all my resumes in my Google Drive. I keep a couple local to my phone, some of them local on my laptop, but it's best to actually keep it on your Google Drive. Now, this is a presentation that I did to Tech Systems, which is a recruiting firm in Edina. I made a contact with them and had them come out. We had jerk chicken. We had, was it Marla's or was it Pimentos? I think it was Marla's, or it was somebody. We had jerk chicken. Kevin, was you up in there?
Yeah, was it last year in the summer, or was it?
It was in the summer. Yeah, over there at the park.
Yeah, it was Pimentos.
It was Pimentos. It was lit. I'm telling you. We had recruiters. I told everybody to be suited and booted, dressed like you trying to get a bag. It was everybody that came up in there. We had it at East Phillips, right over there, off a couple blocks off Franklin and Cedar. And the final class was basically me doing a presentation on what everybody did. And so what I did is I just whipped up a little PowerPoint. What is this? All this new stuff. So this is just something somebody found out in Azure, how to use Network Monitor and Network Watcher and Wireshark. And then they just took screenshots of the stuff they did. Somebody created a virtual machine using a Ubuntu server, so they showed how they installed that, and they wrote all of this stuff down. And as you can see, You know, I don't know what all this stuff is. Like I said, somebody installed Wireshark. Maybe this one didn't go as far. Let me see, how far does it go? Well, but all in all, I mean, there was another one that was, let me see, which one was it? Maybe it's this one here. I guess not, huh? Well, anyway, I presented this to Tech Systems and told them that everybody in this class had a piece in putting together this PowerPoint presentation. So what I did is I acted as a project manager. Everybody had like a role. Everybody had a title, and we listed everybody's name. That was the class Kevin was in. And I basically told the class, I'm just going to be an asshole for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be emailing, calling you guys late at night, giving you being a pain, being a real PM, because that's how PMs are a lot of times. They're sometimes like it's a pain because, you know, they manage the project. If the project doesn't work, it's the project manager's fault. If you're a business analyst, you're buffered from the PM. If it doesn't matter what happens, if a system administrator quits during the course of a project and they don't have nobody to come back on that project ASAP, guess who gets in trouble? The BA don't get in trouble. The other people don't get in trouble. The project manager gets in trouble because it's his job or her job to manage that project. It doesn't matter what happens. They eat everything. So that's why they're always stressed and wanting stuff to do on time. They're always asking you about time and when is this going to be done and all of that, because they got a ton of stress because they're holding the weight of a project. Project managers and executives are probably the most stressed out people involved because if things don't work, everyone blames them. It's their fault. It's their fault even if it's not their fault. But anyway, when I gave that presentation after we ate our pimentos and stuff, basically, you know, they were talking to everybody in the room and handing out their business cards, speaking of business cards. I think everybody needs to download this here. I got a job. Almost got a job with Splunk over this. But it's a digital business card. So if you don't want to print out your business cards, most people don't know about this. This is incredible. You see, what it does is, and you get this one right here. Basically, you design your own little business card. Let me see if I could go here. This is it here. I designed my little business cards on my phone, so if I meet you somewhere, this is how it looks. It looks a little janky, but, you know, it's still a card. Right? And then I got my cell phone. I put that there. I got my Google phone, my email. Somebody say, well, hey, you know, I'm interested in getting into a training class or whatnot. I'm like, well, why don't you just read my book first and see if you want to be in IT? And then it brings me straight to my site. And you go to Amazon Prime, $12. They might save them $40,000 or something, you know, as opposed to going to sign up at Metro State or something, you know. So it's nice to have that app because, you know, for real, like most of the people that joined the class, they didn't have a college degree. Some people already have one. It was like, man, I can't find no work. And I'm like, man, you need to get you a little cert or something. Like, you know, it gets the foundation, the basic concepts of networking. So yeah, you guys should, you know, network. TeamViewer, everybody should download this and play with this. And we'll cover more about it next week. But I've been using this for a very long time. And it basically allows you to just remote into somebody else's computer with their permission. Just use this one right here. Use the personal one. Don't get the corporate one because they're going to charge you. So just go ahead and download this. Let it bypass your firewall.
I was looking at the stuff right now. That's all. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm familiar with TeamViewer.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, I'm familiar with TeamViewer too. It's just I just got a new computer and stuff right now because my old computer needs screen repair and stuff. So.
Okay. AWS. I'm going to be using this a lot. So y'all might want to go ahead and sign up for this. AWS is basically in the cloud. As you guys all know, that artificial intelligence is going to be wiping out 50% of all labor-intensive jobs within the next 10 years. So when I look at that, I start thinking about our folks too. There's a lot of black folks that's in labor jobs. If they're talking about wiping out 50%, and we already got a bunch of unemployment problems as it is, what does that mean? Point is, you know, when you're thinking about the cloud, and, you know, I feel kind of a little hypocritical, because here I am kind of promoting artificial intelligence in a way. But the thing is, it's coming, whether we like it or not. I think, yeah, Kevin came. I brought everybody to the data center in Edina. We did these little field trips, and I brought 2 classes. The first class I went in, they showed me some stuff that wasn't supposed to be out yet. It was some virtual reality stuff. The second time I went, they said all of those big hard drives and big giant servers we seen when we walked through the door, they were like, all of them were gone. I said, where'd they go? They're in the cloud. So they weren't hosting their data there at the Microsoft Center anymore. It's probably somewhere in Utah or hell, Area 51 for all we know. And they're listening to everything we say all the time. A lot of people, I tell them, your data privacy rights you think you got, you ain't got no rights. You think you got rights. Somebody lied to you. You don't have any rights. If I were to tell you some of the stuff I know and and some of the things that I've seen, it'd blow you away. You don't have any privacy rights. They can hear and listen to everything. And that's why they always want people on these smartphones. When I went into that Microsoft data center, they didn't have any more hard drives or servers. And matter of fact, I think, Kevin, you were with me with this one. Me and Kevin and a couple other brothers and some people, when we walked up to that data center, we walked in this room. When we walked in this room, we looked at this screen. There were smiling faces. Whatever face I made, it made a face. Now what they're doing is with artificial intelligence. And when you walk into a store, they could tell the mood you're in based on your smile. They could tell how old you are. Now, when the black folks walked in, we looked a couple years younger. You know, for real. Because I walked in, I'm 36, and I walked in and said, "Oh, well, you 25." So I said, "Okay, well, artificial intelligence, they still know black don't crack." But no, for real, like, I swear to God, I'm that melanin. Something about that melanin, that AI just can't do nothing with it. It's just.
You funny.
I swear. Seriously, we walked in. I said, bro, this thing thinks I'm younger than what I am, you know. But that was artificial intelligence. Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, well, maybe it's like I'm 36 years old. I'm 36 years old too. It was like, oh, you 22 years old. I'm like, I'm not. Oh, 22. Like, damn, okay. Like, that's that comedic. I'm telling you, that AI couldn't get with that comedic melanin, man. I'm telling you. But but see, it could give an idea, I guess, for us, and see, that's what's scary about it. It might have known we was black, and we didn't see the data on the back end. They just showed us what they wanted to. But now, seriously, like, they're doing something right now. I got to show you all this, and we'll go to the next topic. But this is kind of scary. Or is it Face Match?
Is this they had this app on Facebook?
Let me see.
Yeah, they got that facial recognition.
Yeah.
This is even. Let me see if I can find it.
I think I see what you're trying to talk about. So they like have a facial, after that, like do like a customization, like how you look so far, you got a beard and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some software, but they were testing it initially in San Francisco, and they decided to. Let me see where I can find it. The Guardian put this out. But basically, what they were saying is, you go into a store, you steal something, and it may not get you right, that one time, but it took your stuff. So what it does is it automatically just kind of captures you. So when you go back into the store and you steal something again, it'll automatically tell the manager, "Oh, that was Jerome." And then here's the problem, though. We know that behind AI, a lot of this stuff that people even put together is biased. So Jerome could walk in, and it may not be Jerome. It might have been Bob. So, I mean, AI is smart, but what I'm saying is if you have somebody, let's say you have somebody that's racist. You may have a white supremacist that could have created the code and said, okay, well, all black folks look alike. The AI says, oh, yeah. And then it picks out, and if you go to the website of this artificial intelligence, if you go to the website and the first thing they show is a black face as a criminal. And I'm like, the average person probably just look at it and be like, oh, well, they just, but why would they show that? Now, this is in the UK. Why would they show that? You know, so I already kind of knew where they're kind of gearing some of this AI stuff at. But anyway, we went to that data center, and it could tell what kind of mood we're in. When we start smiling, there was little smiley faces on the screen. So when you go into a mall and you go into a store, they're going to be able to collect data to see, okay, is my customer happy? They're going to be able to know and do a whole bunch of things. We'll get into more of that later, but I got some more stories that's kind of crazy that's going to blow you away. But AWS is what we're going to use for a lot of labs that I recommend everybody, whether it be AWS or Azure. And basically what you'll be able to do here is we'll be able to use Server 2016 instead of using like VirtualBox and waiting a half hour to install it, doing all. No, we just going to launch a cloud instance. Now you're going to need a credit card for this, but the key is when you shut down your virtual machine. Well, I don't got one open here, but what you want to do is if you're not using your volumes, well, there's no point for me to explain because I don't have it all set up. We'll do that next week. But this is the kind of stuff that I want to kind of show you guys about AWS. Some people like to use Microsoft Azure. They kind of charge by the size, and you know everything's in the cloud. You're not managing things from your local computer anymore. 365. They got anybody that doesn't have 365, you should sign up for 30 days. The class will be about 30 days. Get you a trial. Google Drive. Everybody should have Google Drive with your resume on your phone. Coming into the game, if you're new into IT, and this is something they don't tell you in college, if you got a 2-year degree and you're fresh off, I call it fresh off the boat, you're gonna flip the burger. You're not gonna make $50,000-$60,000 out the gate out of college. That's a lie. They always try to promote that. It's not true. 9 times out of 10, unless you know somebody, you're probably going to end up between the 14 to 16 range starting out. But that's it. It goes. You're never going to get no less than that 9 times out of 10. Kevin, he was before he first got into IT, he was a security guard. And when he got his first contract, it was how much did they give you for that contract? I don't remember.
It's about, that was when I worked at Ulina.
Mm-hmm.
It was only like $12 an hour or so, man. They didn't want to pay me anymore for some reason and stuff. Then
right.
I left them so far, and I started working for this one place for 3 weeks before doing like remote like desktop imaging and stuff. Everything getting paid $18 an hour. Down with the CompuCon like about a week after, like as soon as that was over. So they started me off at $16 an hour.
But that's not bad, being that, like you said, being that you ain't got a degree. Because you got to think about it. If you probably would have went to, give me a Minneapolis college, MCTC or St. When you first got out of there, that's probably where you would have started at anyway. But that's 2 years later. You took the class, and the class was like 2 months. So. At some point, your rate, because you went from 12, but then you said one was 19, right? It was short, but it was still 19.
Yeah.
So if you're fresh in the door, and you ain't got zero experience, they not gonna give you no 55, 60. Nobody's gonna do that unless you know somebody. Like I don't know, your dad hires you or. You know somebody, like somebody to get in that could actually, but 9 times out of 10, especially now, because look, IT, they used to respect IT professionals and pay them a whole lot more. But because of all this AI stuff and automation, a lot of times what they do is they hire these guys from India, right? They hire these guys for these H-1B visas in India or the UK because it's cheaper. They could give them a sharecrop deal, and they could just kind of keep the money. And over in India, I mean, y'all see how India is. Everybody's trying to get up out of there. Like it's billions of people there. Like it's super overpopulated. So if they can get to the U.S., they don't care how much they're getting paid. I knew a senior network engineer, senior, super senior dude. He was, when I was at Cargill, you know, I don't usually talk to people about salary and stuff. You know, most jobs tell you not to do that, but they tell you that because they don't want nobody to compare prices and find out they're getting over. But there's actually a law. They can't tell you that you can't talk about it. A lot of people think that you can't talk about salaries at jobs. That's a lie. There's a federal law that prohibits an employer from telling you not to do it. They can't tell you that you can't talk about that stuff. But it's generally frowned upon because they don't want you to know that they're not giving you all of your bag. That's what that's about. But this dude was doing like a senior network engineer position, and he asked me, he said, well, Derek, how much you getting paid? I said, I'm getting like 37. And I said, well, how much you getting? He said, oh, I'm getting 50K. And I'm like, what? Like, my heart dropped. I said, 50K? And I said, how? I couldn't. I said, how are you getting 50K? He says, oh, well, I have to convert my rupees. I'll send them back home. He says, 50K is 100 back home. I said, oh, shit. I said, damn. I said, but dude, you getting a Kunta Kinte deal, bro. Like, this is 50K? This is 120, I swear this is $130,000 job this dude was doing. He was a super senior network engineer, and I'm just like, bro, I'm like, man, I felt bad for him. So I ended up finding him like a network job in San Jose. I don't know how much, but he don't work for General Electric down in Texas. They be doing them Indians wrong. But see, in India, this is the way they look at it. They look at it like back home, it may not be as prosperous. The money turns over a little better. So if they come out here and make a couple dollars and go back home, they're going to be living, like they're just going to be living better. And then each year, it ain't like us. We got to scrape and 2 years, and then you get a little funky promotion and all that. It ain't like that there. You do 1 year job out there, and then you get so much more. So they'll work a Citrix job, right? Then they'll be like, oh, well, now this new job pays $4,000 more. Then they'll quit that job after a year, and then they'll go to another one. So each year, they're on the come up. Mm-hmm. But that's because I didn't even know it worked like that out there. But when I was at Ameriprise, some of those guys I kept in contact with, they kind of pulled me to the side, and they just kind of gave me the game. That's how it works out there in India. So, but on average, you're probably going to make around, getting in the game, just flipping the burger, the double stack with cheese, you're getting, 14, 16 or whatever, But if you already got some degrees under your belt, you've done it before or whatever, then you can start asking for 20-something plus. I think the next things that y'all probably want to start thinking about, and this is just my personal opinion, in the future, getting down with AWS cloud stuff. Now, I'm not your guy for that. I'll point you all the direction. I'll give you as much game as I can. But this is really where you want to be. PowerShell. And I put that on, I put that on Slack. Just type in PowerShell and learn PowerShell and automation. PowerShell and AWS, anything in the cloud, whether it be Azure, AWS, IBM even has some cloud stuff. Like the cloud right now is cracking. The cloud is, well, let's look real quick, and then we'll go to the next topic. And you could go anywhere. You ain't got to stay in this. I call it in this polar bear wasteland. You could, because actually, a lot of times here for the brothers and sisters, they be trying to have you a little ceiling. Like they don't want you making a certain amount. They be trying to avoid, but when you go to some of them other places, like, even Chicago, the wages are a lot higher. But okay, let's just look at a regular cloud architect, cloud support. Texas is really cracking, and I heard Charlotte is too. So let's just do cloud architect, and I just show you. That's a network architect. And see, this is that guy I was telling you about. And if you see Azure, this is normal. You know, let's look at it. We're going to be looking at a lot of jobs, y'all, because I'll be able to break them down and tell you exactly. Now, this is a 6-month contract, 60-75. So they want 5 years in managing network. So this is a network engineer. Azure, highly preferred. Right? Now, this guy I told you that I was working with, I don't think he had a CCIE, but he had, this is the top network engineer. Like, this is an almost impossible exam to get. That's when you've been in this thing for about 10, 15 years. Because in order to get the CCIE, you have to, first you got to go in front of a board. And if somebody just don't like you, you just ain't going to get to take the test. You got to go in front of a board. They vet you, ask you a bunch of questions. It's like Congress or something. It's almost like politics. Like, you know, first of all, you got to be, huh?
CIA.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. Then it's $500 to register. You ain't even started yet. And then you got to take this 8-hour exam over 2 days or something. I mean, it's brutal. But this is somebody that can help you.
I remember there's one guy on YouTube talking about that. So the one I was subscribed to, I forgot his name. Like Lightfoot, or I forgot his name.
Yeah, Dwayne Lightfoot.
Yeah, he talked about this CCIE. He talked about that and stuff. I'm like, man, he was like, if
it's
you
rough.
get in with this, you can be, man.
Oh, you once you get a cert like this, it's not even about someone hiring you. You're partnering now. You know, you're coming in like Master P and like the late great Nip. You know, you're the boss. You know what I'm saying? Like because you understand it from an Albert Einstein, John Coltrane level. You know what I'm saying? You're coming in, and this sister right here, her goal is to be a CCIE by 30. But I found out about her blog, and it's this sister out in Baltimore, and she just reshaped her. Y'all got to start checking her out. So you send her an email, subscribe. She's breaking down network basics. She's really breaking down the OSI layer. Y'all need to read this tonight. The OSI layer and subnetting is going to be the toughest stuff in the exam, but they don't really ask a lot of questions. It's super basic. But anyway, you definitely want to subscribe to this sister. She's a Cisco champion. She is a network engineer for some company out there in Baltimore, and she basically kind of does what I do times 2. She works with a lot of large Cisco enterprises. She's heavy into security and data center design, and she just kind of, you know, she blogs about her journey. You know, she started out like the best of us. You know, she started out with an interest in networking, and she posts everything she does. She don't hold no game back. She gives you all the game for free. You know, so you got to check her out too. Now, I gave in the class documents, I gave everybody the objective domain and the handout study guide. When you're reading this book, I say knock out the first 3 chapters, read everything, don't skip nothing. Even do the practice stuff in the back if you can, and if you don't want to use their little software, just, you know, open up a little AWS console or install your own VM if you want. But you want to pay attention to the objective domain as such. All the objectives on the exam is separated into what they call domains. Now, the book is kind of spread out, the ones that Bill mailed you. This is the best book I've ever read in my life when it comes to networking. Because when I was working at Citrix job, there was a lot of network stuff that I was trying to understand. I already knew it, but it's kind of like, I'm going to be honest, I ain't never subnetted nothing in none of my jobs. I've been a Citrix administrator. I've been into infrastructure and stuff. I'm not a network engineer. Like, if you told me to subnet something right now, or you just gonna throw me in with the alligators, I'm just gonna have to swim with the sharks. You know, that's never been my thing because I've never had to do that. Most network engineers use a subnetting calculator. But the point I'm trying to make is, I was just trying to get like a refresher. So that's why I ended up taking this exam. And once I took this exam, you know, I got asked if I could write a curriculum. And then somebody was like, well, we can't find nobody to teach the class. And they like, well, can you do it? And I told them, like, I'm not a network person, man. I don't do networking, but I know enough to, I know where to go, what you need to know, and how to get the bag. So as I started to read the book, I went and took my certification. I failed it. Then I went back 2 weeks later. Don't wait a long time. Go right away. Because when the vouchers we give you guys, once you're ready to take the exam, they're going to have a retake. So you got to pay to sit for the exam, which is like 30 or 40 bucks. That's the proctor fee, because there's a separate company where, you know, you come into their building and, you know, you have to pay them to use their equipment to take the exam. But we cover the voucher and exam and any, you know, any tools you need, far as anything from me or whatever, you know. But we give you guys the exam with the retake. So if you don't pass your first time, you go back. You know. Now, I didn't pass my first time. Then I went back 2 weeks later, knocked it out, and I started building the curriculum. You know, so everybody I sent the Cisco Network Academy. This is something that network engineers typically use. It's called Packet Tracer. There's another one they use as well. But what Packet Tracer allows you to do is kind of like build networks. And now Cisco made it super cool where, I don't know if you guys tried it just yet, but it kind of, I will see the video. I have to get ready for work. All right, brother. I'll holler at you. I'll send you the video. The Cisco Network Academy, what it does is it allows you to go in there and play around with Packet Tracer and kind of build like little miniature networks. So that has nothing to do with the exam in a way. I mean, it does and it don't. Like, it's that network Packet Tracer thing is for people that want to get into like the upper Cisco stuff. Like, that's the next step, CCNT and CCNA. But the reason why I gave it to everybody is Cisco kind of hooked us up. They said, hey, y'all can have as many people as you want sign up for the academy. So I just give it away. You know, anybody that comes into class, I mean, it's like $3,000 software. I just gave it to y'all. You know, so it'd be dope to just go in there and just play around with it. Once you're reading the book and then, you know, you're on Google, you're playing with the labs, you're messing with TeamViewer, it all comes together. It's reoccurring and it's like kind of like riding a bike. You're going to come to get to a point where you're like, all right, what's the port number for POP3? Well, it's 110. That's going to be on the exam. Y'all might want to write this down. Port 110 is POP3. Incoming.
Yeah, it's in the book.
Right. Yep.
And it's on this paper you gave us too.
Yep. And the reason why I put that paper together is because you're going to need to remember the ports. Not all of them, but I mean, you just want to know them, because if it pops up, it might be like, okay, what is SMTP? Well, that's port 125. So if you look at networking as a freeway and say, all right, 94 West, you know, 35E North, 35E South, 694 West, 690, you know, it's traffic. That's all it is. That's all it is this talks to this, and if it's not talking to this, why? And that's all information technology is about. It is no deeper than that. Now, once you start getting into network engineering, you are the architect of the network now. Now you're doing subnetting and CIDR notation and all of that type of stuff. I know a little bit about it, but I don't necessarily create networks. Now I can build domains through Server 2016 and stuff like that and break it down in that way, but once you start getting into the network engineering sector of your career, now what you're doing is you're actually creating the network from scratch. The practice test, I believe that I put those on Slack. Like I said, everything's going to be on Slack. It's the practice test. So you could go, for example, you say blank is used to allow IPv6 hosts to transmit data over an IPv4 network. I would probably say that it would be Teredo. That's correct. Okay, this type of wireless network does not have a centralized device, such as a wireless access point or wireless router. So they said this type of wireless network, so we're talking about this type. Oh crap, my bad. This thing be talking sometimes. Kind of, I don't click on. But so they're saying this type of wireless network. So we know it's a type of a wireless network. These questions, when they ask you these questions, they're worded in a way to sometimes kind of trick you up. When I'm talking about when you're sitting for the exam. So words are very, very important on the basis and the context that you're being asked a question. On a side note, that's why a lot of the Constitution, like when it comes to like, you know, black folks fighting for rights or fighting for, it's the words. The words are very, very important the way they put them. Because when you start looking at laws and when you start looking at things, you're like, okay, what does this mean? And what they say don't necessarily mean the same thing. They'll say one thing and then they'll be like, oh, that's not what we meant. And you're like, well, what did you mean? Oh, well, I meant this. Well, why didn't you say that? See, now you start, and see, that's where the lawyers come in. The lawyer's supposed to be coming in, and you know how like they got OJ off, like, okay, we're going to use these words on you. Johnny Cochran used some words. You know what I'm saying? So the type of the wireless network that does not have a centralized device, such as a wireless access point or a wireless router. So pointer records, we know, that's not a type of a wireless network. Pointer records has to do with where they're like records on the server basically pointing to something. Okay, so that's out.
We know crossover cable is not it.
We know that ain't it because that's not a type of a wireless network. So you know it's one of these two. Now it says it's a wireless network. So it does not have a centralized device, such as a wireless access point or a wireless router. So I don't think this is on the exam, but it's good to know. I think it's probably doesn't have a centralized device. If it does not have a centralized device, then I'm thinking maybe it's this. Okay. I just happen to guess. All right. At this VPN with one remote user connecting to a corporate network. Well, that's not really a question. It's like a statement. So one remote user connecting to a corporate network. Well, we know a protocol analyzer. That's not it. Wireshark is a protocol analyzer, so that's out. IP config release. That ain't it. I can tell you IP config release. Now, if you
I know what that is. That ain't it.
That definitely ain't it. Now, I'm not gonna put release because what's gonna happen is we gonna stop talking. If I put IP config release, it's gonna release my IP address, and then our whole conversation, I ain't gonna have no internet until I do IP config renew. So I'm not gonna do that. So you know these two ain't the right answer. So you know it's this. This type of routing is fault tolerant, load balancing. Oh, I need to study this one. So they say, oh, it's dynamic routing. Dynamic routing's in the book. I forgot what that is, but it's saying that it's fault tolerant. I thought, and see, this is kind of tricky because the question now remains: is load balancing considered a type of routing? Now, I didn't pay attention to that, but it'll be something tricky like that. Load balancing is basically when you have it goes into the talk of when you start talking about what's highly available, high availability. You have a network, right? And let's say you have, it could be a server, and you have another server, or let's just say you have an internet service provider, Quest, or you have Comcast, and you want to make sure if, let's say you got all these applications running or whatever, you want to make sure that one device don't get overloaded versus another one, so it'll balance the load. It's almost like the well, it's supposed to be, it ain't, but I'm saying it's almost like the what's the lady with the blindfold, you know, he's supposed to be balanced. Yeah, she's supposed to be balancing it down. Every now and then she'll take a peek, but I'm just saying, like, that's what it's supposed to be doing. But like I said, this practice test is really good to consider. One thing I'll show you is I had some highlights for resumes. This is some advice I got from a network person for resume highlights. They say less is more. You get 10 seconds to catch an eye, maybe 15 for someone to review your resume. Whatever experience is great. Do you use transferable skill language to show how you match job posting? Keywords. All resumes will have keywords, and when you submit a resume, if you don't use those keywords, you won't be considered. And what I mean is, like, if you posted it on Indeed or something like that, the reason why these people are still hitting me up, I didn't apply for none of this. Like, even this position here, I use SCCM a little bit. This is somebody who knows a lot of PowerShell and scripting, probably pays $50 an hour. I actually know a guy working over there right now. It's probably with Excel Energy. Their packaging engineer quit. Now, I happen to just know this from an inside scoop. I'm not supposed to know this information I'm telling y'all, but I happen to know. One of the students that was in my last class, this white guy named Paul, I worked with him at TCS and a couple other companies, right? He's over there at Excel. He said the guy that wrote, packaged all the Windows, because they're working on the Windows 10 migration. You still got a lot of companies just on Windows 7. I mean, it's crazy. You would think that they'd be done, but I just got some information from a security engineer. Windows 7 is going on what they call an extended release. See, before they weren't pushing out patches. After a while, they give a cutoff. They said, all right, if ain't nobody on Windows 7, if ain't nobody on Windows 10, well, whoever's on Windows 7 can just go to hell. We're not pushing out no more security patches, which means if you have Windows 7 and you get attacked by ransomware, whatever the case, that you're on your own. You got to hold your own. People still haven't migrated to Windows 10 because a lot of people are still using older applications. You still got a lot of Fred Flintstone people as opposed to being in George Jetson. They won't want to let it go. So what Microsoft has done is they have extended the support period for patches and all of that for Windows 7. So companies got more time. It's a pain to me. On the flip side, for you, if you happen to get a Windows 10 migration job, a foot in the door or whatever, you still got time to just ride the Windows 10 wave and migrate if you want. And that's what I did for a long time with Windows 7. So this guy here, it was probably somebody that found a better job. I heard it's a mess over here, so he probably just said to hell with him and just quit. Now, when you got somebody like this that does this, and they quit, it's a big problem for the migration. Why? Because he's the one that's using App vSequencer and Admin Studio and SCCM. He's packaging all the applications and all the Windows 10 images. He's the one that's putting all the stuff together. So when you start pushing out Windows 10 on all the desktops, if something ain't working, he's the one that makes sure the migration runs smooth because he's the packager. They've been hiring for, I've heard about this almost a month. They can't find nobody. But like I said, because of those keywords, I had SCCM somewhere on my resume, and that's why I got the email. So keywords is important. Also, they said have more than one resume. Have a networking resume, a software app resume, a security resume. Do your research on the company. Keep track of your work talents and skills. I recommend anytime you're doing something here in the class, if you install this or if you install that or do whatever, kind of be building up your portfolio and your resume. And we actually have some executives over at some major large enterprise companies that'll be able to look at your resume and give you key points. Now, these are hiring and firing guys that are part of the program. So they just going to keep it real. Like he said, they 10 seconds. I sent over the whole class on one resume one time, and he basically told me, he said, everybody's look trash. He said, if I was a hiring, or he is a hiring manager, he said, if I were to hire you, if I was looking to hire, he said, I'd throw away every single one. And he was honest. He wasn't trying to hurt no feelings, but he said, hey, look, you want to have this, you want to have that. So he's not just going to tear it down. He's going to give you game like, oh, I will change this, I will change that, I will change this. So once we get kind of halfway through the class or whatever, I'll ask these guys, could they take a look, and they gonna cut deep. So, they gonna cut deep, but it's gonna help you, because like I say, these guys, these brothers hire and fire people all the time. They can look at a resume in 5 seconds and be like, oh, nope, and that's something I had to learn. They looked at my resume. before. They said, oh, well, you should try this, try that. Towards the end of the class, I want to do 2 surveys on how you felt about the class. One survey for that, and then another survey. I'm gathering data for the next piece of literature that I'm going to put out. And basically, it's just about, you know, black folks in the IT industry, really. So what I say is go ahead, read the first 3 chapters. We come back with questions, and let's have a discussion. And then I'll start kind of breaking down things next week about routers, switches, firewalls, domains. I'm going to do a little lab with Server 2016. I'll talk a little bit about how to obtain skills and positions you see, and then we could do a little breakout session with TeamViewer. And I kind of envision the class being kind of like this. And if it's something that you guys want to know about, we could talk about it. I could look it up. If I don't know it, I'll go and try to figure it out, or I'll just build it in the lab and show it to you.
Now, what chapters you say go ahead and read next?
I say just, you know, go through the first 3 if you haven't started. You've had your book for a while, so I'm not sure what you read.
I didn't read book chapters 1 through 3, but it wouldn't. I can go back over it. So
I would
be on course with the class.
Yeah, I would go back and do the first 3
I
again.
did the questions too.
Okay, well, that's good.
I just didn't install that, whatever they was asking to install something, because it was a requirement actually for Windows 7, and I have Windows 10.
Yeah, that's old. Don't even pay attention. That's, like I said, when it comes to that lab stuff, we probably going to get down with AWS 9 times out of 10. You know, because anything, you know, one of the more important chapters that's probably really going to cover on the exam with troubleshooting tools. And if you guys want to skip, read them first 3. But if you want to skip and do 14, that's command line tools. And go through that back, forth, left, right. Because tracer, IP config, all of those command line tools, they're going to ask about that a lot probably in the exam. So I would go through 1 through 3, and then pound on 14. And if you want to read ahead, just go right ahead. I mean, I finished the book in a week. But I say focus on the first 3, get your concept down. Kamisha, you already been in the game before, so this is like a refresher. But anybody else?
Actually, after I got through, I was like, okay, I just got to go over it, because it just started coming back like bam, bam. So yeah, I'm like super excited, and I'm ready to get this party jumping.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it too. And another thing we do something called, we got a tech mentorship program. So basically, it's kind of like how I told y'all about, you know, the guy that I work with, the guys, it was Paul and it was Will. They came in their first 2 weeks. Paul had already been in the game. We worked with contracts together before. And then Will was the whiz kid software engineer. They came in the first 2 weeks, knocked it all out. I told them, you ready? They were like, yeah, let me just go do it. And they just knocked out the exam. And so they came in as, what they did is tech mentors. So what we do is, if anybody just wants to take it early and they knock it out, we'll just give you the voucher. And if you come in, you take the exam, give us insight on the exam, and we'll pay for another Microsoft certification for you as being like a tech mentor. Now, what I've acquired just a little bit ago is some information in terms of there's a couple questions here about Server 2016. For some reason, this exam is going to be asking certain questions about Server 2016. So this is something recent I posted on Slack that I got from a prior student. So, you know, network address translation. I mean, you probably know about NAT routers and stuff like that. They asked a few of these questions that you see on Slack. So if you go in your Slack app, you can see that I posted that. But these are some questions that they said that they asked. And on September 5th, Angelina is going to actually come in as a guest speaker and talk about CIDR notation and subnetting and stuff of that nature. So, but I do know Server 2016, they asked a few questions, which surprised me. You know, I guess they switched it up a little bit because they were making it too easy for people. So, Floyd, you still there, brother?
Floyd left.
Okay. Maybe something happened with his thing. I don't know, but sometimes it'll kick you out. So yeah, just go ahead and I'll send everybody the video. I'll put it up online tonight so anybody wants to review. Just go ahead and knock out whatever you want to knock out, and let's come back with questions. And
so you uploaded the practice test?
The practice test. If you want to take the practice test, that's on Slack right now as where it says adding practice tests at 7:13 p.m. Quizlet. So you could actually take this test whenever you want. I mean, it's like 180 questions, and you know,
Lord.
Yeah, it's just, you just take it as, like I said, the actual test, the real test, is is 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Or 33 questions. But this practice test, we just happen to find it online that has similar questions. So it's not a hard test at all. It's just the basics. It's stuff you probably already know, but it's just a nice exam to have because.
Now, what's the name of the exam?
The Microsoft Technology Associate. So it's the MTA 98366 Network Fundamentals Test. So
it's good to have.
I think it's good to have. I mean, it's a lot of employers. Some people is actually surprised. Like when I say, well, I got an MTA, some of them say, well, what's that? Some people don't know what it is because it's kind of new and it's so introductory. But like I said, one guy came in, took my class. He's a supervisor now. He likened it to the Network Plus. I mean,
wow.
That's what he told me. I didn't agree at first, but he told me that it did about enough for him for the Network Plus. The Network Plus don't really do that much. I mean, they charge you $300 to take that exam. It's not like no Cisco exam. I tell people to say the hell with that one.
They charge you $300?
$300. I'm like, what's the point of taking the Network Plus just to have it?
Wow.
The CCENT exam is $125, and you'll be working with routing and switching a little bit. I'm the first Cisco, because you know the CCNA is part 1 and part 2, but the CCENT, the CCENT, that to me is more advanced than the Network Plus.
Okay, gotcha.
The same stuff is on there, so you're gonna still got to know what's on the Network Plus to do the CCENT. But the difference is now you're dealing with strictly Cisco. You're dealing with the fundamentals. So like somebody coming in and say, "Oh, I want to be a network engineer." Okay, well do this here, knock this out, and then start working on your CCENT. Network Plus. Why spend $300 when you could have a CCNA? It's a waste of time.
I got you.
Now, the only reason why I would recommend somebody to get it is if the employer is paying for it, because it's DDoS compliant. It's DOD. It's Department of Defense compliant, which means if you want a job in Kuwait, you may have to have a CompTIA cert to qualify you to be Department of Defense compliant.
I have the A+. That's all. but
you're compliant.
Okay, I'm gonna take this certification. I'm gonna take this certification. I'm gonna pass it too.
Yeah, you'll do fine. The A+ to me, the A+ now they're adding cybersecurity stuff in it. So when did you pass your A+?
It's been a long time ago.
Like over 3 years?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, if you took it 3 years ago, it might already be expired.
No, I took mine's don't expire. I took
you took it back in the day where it don't.
Yeah, mine's never expire.
Okay, yeah, see, okay, that was a good old days. You took it before they started hitting you with that, you got to recertify every 3 years.
Yeah, I never have to take it again.
Okay, yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you'll never have to take that one again. So, I guess that's still DOD compliant. I mean, like if it don't never expire, then they can't. They can say it's old, but they can't say you ain't got it. They can't take it away from you. I mean, you have it. So, I mean, for me, if I was somebody that wanted to continue the path of networking, I wouldn't worry about the Network Plus unless somebody want to pay for it. But I would focus on the Cisco CCENT and start going towards the path of CCNA. And I start reaching out and looking at this CCIE by 30 and start trying to get some game from the sister here. I would go that route, and I would consider the CCNA Cyber Ops. So that's the Cisco. It's like a CCNA, but it's focused heavily on cybersecurity. That's what I would do if that's the path I would be considering. I would be looking into knocking this out, getting some type of Cisco cert, and leaning towards considering the CCNA cyber ops, or
I say cyber
because it's the wave of the future for one. It's going to be a lot easier to get an entry-level position in cybersecurity because they have 1.7 million openings right now. It's like nursing. They don't have enough people for cybersec. You got all these guys from China and Russia trying to break into stuff. I mean, they need people bad. So, but you got to know a little bit of networking. So that's why I say the CCNA cyber ops would probably be the next best kept secret into going towards that pathway. Now, if you really want to get heavy down in network engineering, then just keep on the Cisco route. Cisco CCENT, Cisco CCNA.
I'd rather get into cyber because that's where everything's going.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would do the CCNA cyber ops, and I think we're going to talk about Splunk a little bit. I would get into CCNA cyber ops, and I would start thinking about what they call SIEMs, aggregating data, SIEM, so Splunk, App Dynamics. I would start trying to get some hands-on experience on that stuff because that goes hand in hand. Artificial intelligence, cybersec, it all goes hand in hand. So those are the applications that I would be trying to get down with. AWS.
I'm do this, knock this out, and then go to the next level.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, like I say, everybody, I think everybody should consider, just keep reading, email each other, use Slack. If you got a question, throw it up on Slack. That way I can respond. Everybody can see it. Everybody can respond. Start playing around with TeamViewer for those that haven't used it. We'll do some more next week, and I'll show you guys AWS, and we'll re-adjourn 6:30 p.m. next Thursday night, and I'll upload this whole presentation on YouTube tonight.
All right. Alrighty.
All right, Floyd.
All right, peace.
All right, take care.
Meeting everybody. Have a good night.
Okay, same to you. Bye.
Bye.